Tonight on CTV News at 6. He tried to evade police. A Brampton man pleads guilty to a series of charges in North Bay. And helping those who need it.
Harm reduction is a very crucial evidence-based method when working with people who use drugs and with the general community.
A non-profit in Sudbury is assisting people and educating others.
CTV News at 6 with Tony Ryma and Rick Wyman with weather.
Good evening. So glad you could be with us on this Friday, August 29th. A 21-year-old Brampton man pled guilty today in a North Bay courtroom for driving into a city police officer. The accused tried to evade police after failing to comply with a traffic stop. CTV's Eric Tashner has more.
Sahibjot Singh pled guilty to 6 charges, including assault of a peace officer, impaired driving, and flight from police, among other offenses. In an agreed statement of facts between the Crown and defense, the court heard Singh was driving a stolen 2020 Toyota RAV4 on Wild Street in North Bay on May 31st, 2024, when police used a license plate reader and tried to stop the vehicle. Singh drove off. Acting Sergeant Justin Briere located him in a parking lot on Memorial Drive. Singh backed into Briere, striking him and pinning him between the SUV and another vehicle, and proceeded to get away before ramming into Briere's cruiser and another vehicle, causing $9,000 in damage. He fled, running a red light at a high speed. He was eventually arrested and fingerprints identified him. Singh was found to be in possession of a little over a gram of heroin. His attempted murder charge was withdrawn months ago. Blood analysis found he had meth, amphetamine, and morphine in his system at the time of the incident. Singh, who is in Canada on a student visa from India, was studying at Canadore College. He's currently the subject of an immigration warrant and does not plan to challenge any deportation order. The court heard that he fell into the wrong crowd. Singh's family in the Peel region, India, and the Sikh temple he attended wrote letters to Justice Erin Lanevool asking that she give him a second chance. In his victim impact statement, Briere says while his physical injuries have healed, he still suffers from PTSD. The Crown is seeking 5 years minus time served. Meanwhile, the defense is arguing Singh should receive an enhanced credit for 15 months he's already served in jail. Sentencing is scheduled for October 24th. Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
Homeowners in Elliot Lake found an old explosive device which led to the road closure on Pearson Drive yesterday. Police were called by the homeowners who had packed up the device to take to the dump when they decided to call police instead. Provincial police arrived on scene to shut the road down while they waited for the explosive disposal unit from North Bay. The device was not suspicious in nature, just an old piece of ordnance. No charges are being laid. Timmins police have arrested and charged 2 people in connection with the recent check cashing scam. On August 21st, a victim was approached by 2 people outside a bank on Pine Street and asked the victim to cash the check for them. The victim agreed, but a few days later was contacted by the bank to let them know the check was fraudulent. A man and woman have been charged with 4 counts each of fraud and possession of property obtained by crime. The city of Timmins has been fined more than $56,000 for violations under the Environmental Protection Act. The city is being fined $45,000 for 5 violations and more than $11,000 for a victim fine surcharge. In July 2023, the ministry conducted an inspection of the Matagami Water Pollution Control Plant, where they found several non-compliance issues. According to the ministry, the city had been previously warned about at least one of its violations. The city has 1 year to pay the fines. There have been several community events this week leading up to International Overdose Awareness Day on Sunday. Today at the Réseau Access Network in Sudbury, there was an open house. More on that right now from CTV's Alan Everson.
This is a harm reduction window at the Réseau Access Network, where supplies to make drug use safer are handed out. Officials at the nonprofit say there are misconceptions. that handing out safe supplies enables or causes substance use.
Harm reduction is a very crucial evidence-based method when working with people who use drugs and with the general community. Harm reduction really just is exactly that. It's about reducing harm. So that's anything from wearing your seatbelt when you're in the car to using a new and sterile syringe.
Nickelbell's MPP and NDP health critic Franck Chelina was at the open house and says more needs to be done to help people and community partners deal with the opioid crisis.
The opioid overdose crisis is an epidemic, a pandemic that should be looked after by the provincial government and isn't. But I have faith in my community that together we will help each other and we will make sure that people get the support that they need when they're ready.
At the open house, there was also a demonstration on recognizing and responding to overdoses to increase awareness and knowledge.
We want to educate people just on the fact that, that naloxone is temperature sensitive, that naloxone is safe for people to use, and even if someone were to use it and it wasn't an opiate overdose, it wouldn't cause harm.
Organizers of the open house say International Overdose Awareness Day is about remembering lives lost, family and friends impacted, and to end the stigma of drug-related deaths. Alana Everson, CTV News, Sudbury.
Shifting gears now, the Labor Day weekend is here. What are the weather conditions going to be like? For that answer, let's bring in CTV's Amanda Hicks filling in for Rick Wyman. Amanda.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah, I would say the weather this weekend is a lesson in trust issues. 1 minute it's warm, and then the next minute it's trying to turn your tomatoes into ice cubes. That being said, we do have some frost advisories in effect, and I am shocked to be saying this during the last long weekend of summer. We have some single-digit temperatures overnight, getting closer to the freezing mark overnight as well too. So you are going to want to cover up those tomatoes and your plants, anything that's delicate outside, to protect it from these cooler conditions. The good news is, though, we are going to be seeing some sunshine, some warmer weather to start the week. I'll have more details on that coming up a bit later on. Tony.
Thanks so much for that, Amanda. The Premier is fed up. Still to come on CTV News at 6. Doug Ford doesn't like the way some school boards are spending taxpayers' dollars. Before that, let's take a live webcam look at the Point Pleasant Marina in Parry Sound. This is courtesy of Northern Creations. It's 18 degrees. We're back after this commercial break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Premier Doug Ford says Ontarians are done with spending scandals at school boards. His comments come as the province's education minister is floating the idea of doing away with elected trustees. CTV's Spencer Turcott has more on this.
Well, there's some good and there's some bad ones.
Premier Doug Ford is referring to Ontario school boards on the province's proverbial naughty list. The Ministry of Education has been working to address ongoing cases of financial mismanagement.
People are done with these school trustees wasting money, and they're done with a lot of these school boards.
One case in particular, a trip to Italy last year taken by 4 trustees from the Brant Hold'em and Norfolk Catholic District School Board.
School board trustees decided it would be a great idea to fly to Italy, spend $120 some odd thousand on their junket and their trip, have a great time in Italy, and say it's for Italian artwork, and bring back $100,000 of Italian artwork.
In total, the trustees racked up a bill of nearly $190,000. They also splurged on luxury car rentals, high-end hotel stays, and fancy dinners. Education Minister Paul Calandra ordered a review of the school board and for the amounts owing for the trustees' travel expenses to be repaid fully within 30 days.
Last time I went to schools, it's the kids' paintings and everything else that are on the wall. not $100,000 of Italian artwork.
Since then, Calandra appointed supervisors to take over and make decisions for some of Ontario's biggest school boards. In an email to CTV News, the minister's press secretary said the current school board governance structure is outdated and needs to be modernized, saying all options, including changes to governance and the role of elected trustees, are on the table.
My initial reaction is one of grave concern.
The recent comments have the president of the Canadian School Boards Association worried about the thought of getting rid of school board trustees. Alan Campbell says having an education system centralized at Queen's Park strips communities of their democratic voice and prevents schools from being responsive and representative of a community.
It's reckless and it's irresponsible. And so the message needs to be to Minister Calandra that he needs to do away with this proposal. It's catastrophic.
Meanwhile, the Premier is backing his education minister's crackdown on school boards.
We're going to make sure they balance their books, and I know Minister Calandra is doing a phenomenal job.
Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Kitchener.
The country's highest legal authority will not hear an appeal over the ownership of Ontario's Sauble Beach. That means one of the province's top tourist destinations will remain in Indigenous control. CTV's Scott Miller explains.
Now, some may not like it, but Sauble Beach is here to stay.
You're holding your breath for such a long time, and it's like once you get the news, it's just like a breath of fresh air and less restriction.
The Supreme Court of Canada has dismissed a request from the town of South Bruce Peninsula to appeal the decision that granted a section of valuable shoreline in Sauble Beach to the Saugeen First Nation. In April of 2023, the Ontario Court of Appeal granted the Saugeen First Nation ownership of about 2.5 kilometers of sandy beach stretching from Sauble Beach's Main Street north to 6th Street. The case was first brought before the courts 35 years ago, but it was nearly a century ago when Indigenous leaders claimed an 1854 treaty deeded ownership of the disputed shoreline to them.
That's how resilient and patient our people have been to feel finally heard and seen and validated.
Denying the leave to appeal means the town of South Bruce Peninsula and a small collection of private landowners have seemingly exhausted all legal avenues to retain ownership of the beach. That was controversially renamed Saugeen Beach by the Saugeen First Nation on Canada Day.
It kind of grooms society. It kind of grooms community. It kind of grooms children when you have a colonial lane that's supposed to be the Indigenous people of that land and beach.
Contacted by CTV News today, South Bruce Peninsula representatives said they wouldn't have anything to say about the Supreme Court's decision until after their next council meeting on September the 2nd. Ritchie says now the legal wrangling over who owns Saugeen Beach appears to be done. Compensation from the federal government for breaking the 1854 treaty can be discussed. He hopes that can be resolved outside of court. As far as the beach goes, Ritchie says Saugeen Beach will continue to be a tourist destination open to the public, attracting millions of visitors each summer.
Now we all have an obligation, a duty to protect this land and this water and making sure that it's still here for future generations.
For those confused, Ritchie says Sauble Beach remains the name of the popular beachside town, which is still owned and operated by the town of South Bruce Peninsula, but the beach will be called Saugeen Beach now that it is in Saugeen First Nation control. In Sauble Beach, Scott Miller, CTV News.
Back now for a check on your current conditions. Here's Amanda.
Tony, it was pretty comfortable out there, all things considering, just slightly below seasonal, which is around 20 degrees for this time of year, where we're sitting at about 18. Some breezy conditions, some sunshine. Depending on where you are, it is going to get chillier as we head into the evening hours. Single-digit temperatures across the board. Frost advisory still in effect as well. But let's take a look at how things are looking right outside your doorstep right now. So we're sitting at between 15 to 19 degrees, some cloudy skies across the board, a little bit of sunshine here and there. A little bit of mix of sun and cloud in Chapleau, 15 in Wawa with mainly sunny skies, 17 in the Sioux with some cloudy breaks there. And then over to Parry Sound with some more cloudy breaks sitting at around 17 degrees. And in Kirkland Lake, Temiskaming Shores, we're seeing some sunshine between 14 to 17 degrees. North Bay is the coolest of those three regions right there, 14 degrees with a mix of sun and cloud. And then Elliot Lake and Gore Bay are seeing some more sunshine, sitting at 18 degrees. Espanola and Greater Sudbury seeing some more clouds and sitting at 15. Tony.
Thanks so much for that, Amanda. A new office next on CTV News at 6. The Prime Minister announces a new office for nation-building projects. And Canada launches its first commercial rocket into space. Post-secondary students all across the country have been moving into dorms this week. Today, Cambrian College saw many first-year students moving in and wondering what the experience will be like. CTV's Amanda Hicks has that story.
Cars and into their dorms. It was an exciting day for students moving into their new homes.
You know, it's really exciting. It's new, so it should be fun.
I'm pretty hyped up. It's new.
Parents are certainly anxious, right, as they're dropping off their kids for the first time, but we've taken every step to make it organized, smooth transition. There'll be food, music, as you can hear, just to make that transition a little bit easier.
For Gabriel Contreras, it's a little different. He moved from Honduras to study here.
First, you gotta be nervous because it's a huge change, but I think that when time goes on, you start to feel, you know, a little bit more secure of yourself. So that's what I'm feeling right now. But yeah, I feel a little bit nervous, not gonna lie.
When you're from far away, the best thing for students like Contreras is to get out and socialize.
I moved from Alberta, so I moved super far, just meet people, try and have fun.
But we have meet and greets and we have different functions both in the day and the evening where people can meet each other for the first time and get comfortable in the space that they're going to be calling home for the next year, 2 years, possibly 4.
For Contreras, he hopes this year will be one of growth.
This adjustment will help me to improve my skills and to improve myself as a human being, try to explore what other things I can do to learn new things and to gain new abilities as well, and to be a good human.
Amanda Hicks, CTV News, Sudbury.
And as students move into their dorms or off-campus apartments, North Bay Police are reminding students to be on the lookout for scammers trying to make a quick buck. Students should be on the lookout for rental and merchandise scams. These are usually online scams like listings for apartments or textbooks, furniture, or electronics that ask for deposits or full payments in advance of signing a lease or seeing the product. Ignore phishing attempts looking for financial information. And lastly, tuition and loan scams, which offer low-interest loans or assistance for upfront fees. In other news now, Prime Minister Mark Carney has launched the new Major Projects Office, which will serve as a single point of contact to get nation-building projects built faster. The Major Projects Office will be headquartered in Calgary and have offices in other major Canadian cities. Carney has appointed Don Farrell, the board chair of the Trans Mountain Corporation, to serve as the office's CEO. The MPO will streamline and accelerate regulatory approval processes and coordinate financing of projects as needed. The office will oversee those fast-tracked approvals with guidance from public servants and First Nations representatives. The government will announce the first set of nation-building projects in the coming weeks. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is calling on Canada to pass a new Stand on Guard law, amending the criminal code allowing homeowners to use force, including lethal force against home intruders. Poilievre says it's time to get much tougher on criminals.
Our amendment instead will change section 34.2 of the criminal code to say that the use of force, including lethal force, is presumed reasonable against an individual who unlawfully enters a house and poses a threat to the safety of anyone inside. Simply put, it means you have the right to use force to defend your home and your family against someone who threatens you and who has entered illegally.
This after a Lindsay, Ontario man was charged with assaulting the person who broke into his apartment. The man who broke into the apartment was carrying a crossbow, according to court documents filed by police. He was confronted by the tenant and faces several charges, including possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose. The apartment's resident is facing aggravated assault and assault with a weapon, which has sparked much debate about Canada's self-defense laws. Nordspace looks to make history today, launching the first ever commercial rocket in Canada. The rocket, called Taiga, will be sent into orbit from just outside of the small town of St. Lawrence in Newfoundland and Labrador, selected because it sits on a southern peninsula jutting out into the Atlantic, and therefore lots of empty ocean for the rocket to hit if the mission goes awry. The Canadian aerospace company explored close to 30 potential launch locations before landing on this one. All right, there's more news still ahead, but first, here's your long weekend forecast with Amanda.
That's right, Tony. It is the long weekend. Happy Friday, everybody. We made it to the long weekend, and it is going to be a pretty nice weekend overall. Some seasonal-ish kind of temperatures heading into the weekend, some sunshine as well, but there is that frost advisory in effect. So make sure you do cover up those plants and bundle up if you're maybe partaking in a bonfire overnight at some point this weekend. But looking at the forecast radar, good news in that case there. We're not really seeing a lot in terms of precipitation, anything like that. Maybe some pockets here and there on Sunday, but nothing really too significant. We just have some sunshine on the way overall and some cooler temperatures overnight, getting into that a little bit deeper here with the overnight conditions, single-digit temperatures closer to the freezing mark, 2 degrees in Sudbury, 2 degrees in Timmins, clearing in Sault Ste. Marie, and then chance of showers in Timiskaming Shores. In Moosonee, we've got 6 degrees, a few clouds, 4 in Kapuskasing-Hearst, and 10 in Gore Bay. That is the warmest area across the northeast there overnight. And let's get into it with the 7-day forecast, starting with Sudbury Nickel Belt. So sunny skies for tomorrow, high of 21, 24 on Sunday, mix of sun and cloud. For Labor Day on Monday, looks nice, 25 degrees, continuing into that sunshine for Tuesday, high of 24, and then the clouds start to roll in by Wednesday. Temperatures start to cool off even further. For Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, mainly sunny skies for tomorrow, sitting at this normal for this time of year, 20 degrees, 24 on Sunday with sunshine, continuing on into Monday and for Tuesday. But by Wednesday, that's when we see a chance of showers, temperatures falling to 13 degrees, and then back to those single digits overnight. For Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, chance of showers for tomorrow, high of 21 with some sunny breaks, 25 on Sunday, mix of sun and cloud. By Monday, that looks like a pretty nice day, 27, and some sunny skies there, mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday, and then clouds rolling in by Wednesday. For Timiskaming Shores, Kirkland Lake, mainly sunny skies for tomorrow, high of 21, 25 on Sunday, 27 on Monday. We've got that lawn chair icon there. Might be a good day to go to the beach, 25 on Tuesday, mix of sun and cloud, and some cloudy skies for Wednesday. And finally for North Bay, West Nipissing, mainly sunny skies for tomorrow, high of 21, bumping up to 23 by Sunday, 25 on Monday for Labor Day, and 25 on Tuesday with sunshine. And then by the time Wednesday rolls around, once again, we're seeing some more cloudy skies and a chance of showers on Thursday as we get closer to the weekend. And for today's weather pick of the day, that was sent in by Emily Black. She sent it in from the Greater Sudbury community of Chelmsford. She got this beautiful picture of a rainbow. I love the shot. It looks very aesthetic. I love that, Emily. Thank you so much. And anytime you guys want to send in pictures to us, feel free. We love it. We have more news after this. Stay with us.
A group in Canada is determined to conserve water, wetlands, and wildlife. In fact, Ducks Unlimited Canada is encouraging people this summer to experience nature, a beautiful landscape, without having to worry about finding a parking spot. To talk more, Linda Warren, Conservation Program Specialist with Ducks Unlimited Canada, now joins us from Barrie. Hi there, Linda.
Hi, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Before we get into the areas that people can visit, are more people getting out and exploring nature?
Yes, we've noticed that a lot more people are getting outside, especially during the summer months, to enjoy a lot of our natural areas.
So let's talk about Lake Laurentian, the wetlands in Sudbury. A lot of people stop there. What makes it so unique?
Lake Laurentian is an incredible partnership project between Ducks Unlimited Canada and Conservation Sudbury. It's a part of the Lake Laurentian Conservation Area. It was originally built in 1992 with dam and dike infrastructure, which acts as a water control, holding more water on the landscape and offering more habitat for waterfowl and wildlife.
So if I were to take a walk today or on the weekend, what would I see? Give our viewers an idea.
You might be lucky enough to see some waterfowl species, especially those mallards and geese that are very easily recognizable. You may also see some different mammals like porcupines, deer, foxes, and if you're lucky and it's warm enough, you may even see some turtles and snakes.
Let's move on to Bass Pond in Espanola. What makes this spot so important to Ducks Unlimited Canada?
It's one of our more rural sites, so it might take a little bit of a drive and a hike in to actually get to Bass Pond, but it's well worth the adventure. You'll get to see some of these remote locations and beautiful wetlands that again have a host of wildlife.
So late summer, that's where we are right now. Early fall is a great time to take a walk outdoors. Fewer bugs, of course, plus so much wildlife to view. Any other places worth exploring in northeastern Ontario?
Those two are our top two recommended sites because of their accessibility to the public. We don't require permits to visit those two sites, so it's a great opportunity for folks to just get out and enjoy. There are some other sites, but you'll have to check out our website to learn more.
Okay, and this summer I saw, and I'm embarrassed to say, a red-winged blackbird for the first time. Are people seeing more birds and wildlife?
Yes, we've noticed an increase in wildlife observations, and if people want to participate, just like yourself, helping share the information about sightings, you can download the iNaturalist app on your phone, and that will actually contribute to community science by logging your wildlife sightings.
Linda, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Linda Warren was our guest, and to learn more about the wetlands in our region, head to ducks.ca. We have more tonight on Ontario's plan to expand its coverage of RSV protection. It will now include everyone over age 75. We get the details from CTV's Pauline Chan.
Respiratory syncytial virus is so common that most children will have at least one infection before the age of 2, but it's also dangerous for older Canadians.
Ontario Public Health is going to cover the RSV vaccine for any Ontario resident over 75, in addition to those smaller, higher-risk populations.
Those would include the immunocompromised, First Nations, pregnant people, infants, and those over 60 who live in long-term care. In Canada, there are currently 3 vaccines available for adults over age 60. They are Arexvy, Abrysvo, and a new mRNA vaccine called Mresvia.
Arexvy is adjuvanted, means it has an extra additive to the vaccine to propel your immune system. Particularly important in older patients. Abrysvo doesn't have an adjuvant. The other third vaccine is made by Moderna, so it's an mRNA platform, a different technology. Approved by Health Canada, not readily available.
The government has not yet announced which vaccine will be covered or whether they might be available through pharmacies. Dr. Christine Palme says the effects of RSV can be so serious that an independent senior can often experience life-altering circumstances after, like being forced into long-term care.
The reality is not returning to your home, so you've entered in one state, but you leave in a completely different state is 8%, and that's harrowing to me that you have a vaccine-preventable disease.
RSV season usually starts at the beginning of fall, and Palme says even people who aren't covered may want to pay for the $350 shot out of pocket or through their own health benefits to be protected. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
More than 250 backpacks are in the hands of kids heading back to school next week, thanks to the Afro Women and Youth Foundation in Sudbury. Backpacks filled with all the necessary school supplies were given to newcomers to the community and to families in need.
Rick Wyman back at
Solid Gold VIP Car Wash. Kenny Waddell with me this hour. Kenny, so pleased to meet you.
Thank you so much.
We
Thanks
heard
for having
a
us.
lot from Ryan last hour. Tell me more about the grand opening coming up tomorrow.
Well, the grand opening, we're going to feature selling some merch. We're going to go through a lot of our sales packages. We have our kids on site. This is a new family-friendly place. We want everybody to have the same experience that we have here at the car wash. It's for young and old, all people alike.
I wish I had my car right here, right now, to take a drive right through to see how great that vehicle will look after I come out. Tell me more about what's gone into the planning and what you've done here.
Lots of planning and lots of execution. Took us a better part of 2 years to get it off the ground. As you can see here, this isn't a traditional car wash. This is what's called an express tunnel. We can do the average car in about 2 minutes, 15 seconds. Your rims and tires get polished. We can do 100 cars an hour. And as a member or a client, vacuums are included in your package.
And you clean car mats.
And we clean car mats. That is also part of your package. We do all kinds of mats as well. We do both WeatherTech and factory.
So the response?
Very, very good.
Very positive?
Very positive.
Okay, so you've got to be here tomorrow. Grand opening. Kenny, thank you so much. Best of luck. I know this place is going to rock. It's really going to rock tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Okay, don't forget, Solid Gold VIP Car Wash. Get yours tomorrow.
Last night, we told you about 2 women who were attacked by a bear in Sault Ste. Marie. Tonight, they're speaking out about their experience. CTV's Corey Nordstrom has that story, and we warn you that some of the images you're about to see may be disturbing to some viewers.
Friends Crystal McDonald and Aja Wilson, along with their dogs Mia and Rosebud, feel they're lucky to be alive today after a terrifying incident a few days ago. Wednesday afternoon, the pair came to the end of People's Road to walk their dogs on a popular trail. Just a few minutes into the rainy hike, they came face to face with a mother bear and her cubs.
I turned to run, but realized very quickly that's not the correct thing to do. So the bear bit me on the backside, and then I dropped to the ground and rolled into the fetal position, and the bear was on top of me.
Frantically yelling and waving her arms, McDonald was able to get the bear's attention.
And started galloping towards me with her mouth open, and then she stood up on her back legs, went to pounce on me, and as she did that, I fell downward. I hit my head and landed on my wrist, and she got a hold of my arm, and she was there with my arm in her mouth.
I'm just so grateful for my friend also, who was so brave, because that bear really didn't have to get off of me, and it could have been a lot worse than it was.
McDonald's dog Mia eventually led the bear away and found her way home hours later on her own with minor injuries. McDonald suffered 2 broken bones in her arm and some bruising elsewhere. Wilson had multiple bite wounds and lacerations from the bear's claws. Rosebud came away without physical injuries. The pair still remain that the bear was not at fault and were happy to be told the MNR wasn't pursuing lethal force if they locate the bear.
It's just happened that we walked into her space and she reacted with her motherly instinct to protect her cubs.
Bear expert Mike McIntosh, who runs the Bear With Us Center for Bears, explains that black bear attacks are very rare, though cubs being involved and having dogs off leash considerably increases those odds.
Over 50% of those attacks involved off-leash dogs. Basically, a dog on leash is an excellent deterrent. The bear will smell the dog, hear the commotion, smell the people as well, and leave the area.
McIntosh adds that observing your environment for things like bear scat or nearby berry bushes is also important to lessen your likelihood of a run-in with a bear. McDonald and Wilson say they'll be taking a hiatus from their wooded hikes, but hope their bear encounter leads others to learn more about bear safety. Corey Nordstrom, CTV News, Sault Ste. Marie.
And Crystal McDonald may have had enough of bears, but they keep popping up.
What are the odds? But I just had that incident with the bear on Wednesday, and now I've got a bear in my front yard.
What are the odds indeed? McDonald found a bear roaming her yard this morning with a bag of garbage. Despite the attack Wednesday, she was brave enough to grab this video. Infectious disease experts on this side of the border are slamming the state of public health in the United States. It comes after the Trump administration fired the head of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control. As CTV's Isabella Zavarese reports, many fear what's happening down south will have ripple effects on our healthcare system.
U.S. President Donald Trump has been in power since January. In his second term, he started the process of withdrawing from the World Health Organization.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Changed COVID vaccine guidelines, and now, after only 1 month in the position, the head of the Centers of Disease Control has been fired.
I don't really know any other way to say this, but it's catastrophic what's happening in the United States right now in terms of public health.
Experts are sounding the alarm, worried our health is in jeopardy.
Well, I think we're just entering very scary times. I mean, we could look back at this as a really pivotal time in our health in North America.
They say we're already seeing the consequences as political rhetoric in the U.S. makes its way here.
This past year in Canada, we've had 2 historic measles outbreaks in Ontario and in Alberta. And if vaccine hesitancy and vaccine refusal continues to rise, measles is an extremely contagious virus, and we will potentially see even larger measles outbreaks going forward.
The former director of the BC Centre for Disease Control says he would often look to the CDC for policy guidance.
That won't be available or won't be reliable anymore, and so that means that we have to make more of our own decisions.
The doctors say it's an opportunity for Canada to step up.
We need to invest heavily, and we need to start thinking about doing more things both on the ground in Canada and also internationally.
And that's scary because many countries, not just Canada, have relied on those key partnerships with the U.S. And it's very frightening to be unmoored from that.
The outcome of not doing anything, they say, could put Canadians' health at risk. Isabella Zavarese, CTV News, Vancouver.
To the Ontario Hockey League and training camps, the Sudbury Wolves are getting closer to determining their final roster. CTV's Madison Merrier reports.
Things are getting more intense for the Sudbury Wolves in the final white versus blue scrimmage today.
Obviously, every shift is kind of looked at pretty closely, every period and every game in whole, right? But biggest thing we need, it's like a puzzle, right? You can't have 25 goal scorers. You need guys to be able to defend, play different roles, be good teammates in the room, and this is still just a small part of it.
The team still has about 40 players at camp, and the roster needs to be trimmed to around 25 before the season starts. Coach Barney says the players are still fighting for spots, and he expects the final cuts to be made in around 10 days.
It's been good. It's something that personally I'm used to. Like I said, it's my 5th time doing it, and I think it's just good to kind of start it off with like really intense scrimmages and practices, just to kind of like introduce the younger guys just to know what it's like to play for an OHL club.
Many of the older players have taken on a leadership role, inspiring the new wave of players.
Even some guys that have been released earlier have made that comment that the older guys have helped them a lot through the camp, and for us that's huge, right?
Yeah, I mean, time flies in this league. I remember my first day here and I was looking up to the older guys, so now I'm kind of in that older role now, as it's my last year here, and obviously I want to teach the young guys how to be a leader and just be a respectful guy on and off the ice.
Some fans were already in the stands, trying to get a preview of what the season has in store for this hockey town. Madison Merrier, CTV News, Sudbury.
The stars of the Oscar-winning film La La Land are headed to space, sort of. David Daniel has the details in tonight's Hollywood Report.
Star Wars Starfighter starring Ryan Gosling has begun production, and Lucasfilm has revealed his supporting cast, including Matt Smith from Doctor Who and The Crown, Mia Goth from Suspiria and the X Trilogy, Aaron Pierre from Rebel Ridge and Mufasa the Lion King, and 6-time Oscar nominee Amy Adams. Star Wars Starfighter is due in theaters in May of 2027.
Welcome to the headquarters of the Human Resistance.
Where's my hair?
Your hair has been destroyed to prevent you from contacting your ship.
What ship? your mothership?
Two conspiracy theorists kidnap a high-powered CEO convinced she's an alien intent on destroying the planet in the new trailer for Begonia. Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons star in the dark sci-fi comedy from Yorgos Lanthimos, inspired by the South Korean film Save the Green Planet. Begonia opens in limited release October 24th and wide October 31st. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Some troubling economic news for Canada. New numbers show a key measure of the country's economic health. CTV's Kamal Karamali has been crunching the numbers and gives us a glimpse on what's behind the blow to Canada's GDP.
After months of being assaulted by U.S. tariffs and battered by the ongoing trade war, Canada now showing major cracks in the armor.
This is not a good picture for Canada and what's happening here.
Canada's economy contracted in the second quarter, much more than expected, shrinking by 1.6% on an annualized basis. It's the first quarterly contraction in nearly 2 years and the steepest decline since the pandemic.
Essentially, the big change was in the first quarter, we had a rush to get exports out into the U.S. as quickly as possible. In the second quarter, that all came to a halt as some of these tariffs started to take effect.
U.S. President Donald Trump ramped up tariffs against Canada and the world that quarter, targeting steel, aluminum, and autos. While April, May, and June then saw a sharp drop-off in business investment by roughly 10%.
The depth of decline that we're seeing in the manufacturing sector is something that we haven't seen in many years. And so it is a cause for concern.
Vehicle exports plummeting nearly 25%, industrial machinery exports and travel services also falling drastically. In fact, Canada saw an unprecedented trade deficit in the second quarter, with a big gap between its minimal exports versus its massive amount of imports. The difference between the two, a whopping $19.6 billion in goods and services.
Well, guess what's happening in the middle of a trade war with the U.S.? We're exporting substantially less stuff to our major trade partner.
All of it raising fears of a recession, which economists say Canada would be in if the GDP sees another decline in the third quarter of this year.
We need to be a little bit more cautious, and that caution, of course, feeds into the economy.
The latest GDP figures putting a sharper focus on the Bank of Canada and whether it'll make an interest rate cut in mid-September. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
As you just heard, the Canadian economy has taken a hit amid the onslaught of tariffs coming from the U.S. BNN Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaya has more on that and other business headlines.
Statistics Canada says the Canadian economy contracted 1.6% in the second quarter of this year. It is the worst decline for the country since the COVID-19 pandemic, primarily due to U.S. tariffs, which slashed exports by 7.5%. Exports in key sectors like energy and automotive dropped significantly, widening the trade deficit. And here's a look at how the trading day ended today. The Canadian dollar up 11 cents to 72.82 cents U.S. West Texas Intermediate is down almost $1 to 64.01. Western Canadian Select is up 48 cents to 51.66, and the TSX jumped 129 points today to 28,564. Those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
And here are the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold up $30.75, closing the day at $34.47.92 U.S. an ounce. Silver up 69 cents to end the day at $39.74. Copper up a nickel, closing the day at $4.43, and nickel up 11 cents, ending the day at $6.87 U.S. a pound. And Amanda is back now with one last look at your Saturday weather.
Thanks, Tony. And to summarize tomorrow and this weekend, some sunshine by day, cooler temperatures by night. Beginning with Sudbury, sunny skies, 21 degrees, chance of showers in Timmins, but only slight chance, 20 degrees in Sault Ste. Marie with mainly sunny skies, so pretty comfortable conditions out there. North Bay, mainly sunny skies, while Parry Sound will see some sunshine between 20 to 21 degrees. So pretty comfortable conditions. Mother Nature, I don't think, can decide if she wants it to be summer or fall. Tony.
Thanks, Amanda. And this is the last long weekend of the summer, so enjoy it while you can. And we leave you with Dean Brody and his acoustic version of Canadian Summer. Thanks for watching and have a safe long weekend. Good night.
Lakeside Motel at the corner gas, you asked for my help. Standing by your van, you're barefoot in a snapback, sipping on your ice cap. I changed your tire and you gave me your name. So I crashed your camp with some friends of mine, reached for your hand. The 1st of July, fireworks on the water, yeah, we partied in the harbor. Blue Rodeo, our soundtrack that night, yeah, we were high on Canadian summer, making friends, crushing cans, holding hands, those Muskoka pines. Yeah, blinking it's over, driftwood campfire nights in the land of the northern skies. And howl at the moon when I stumbled in love with you, babe. All the magic we made that Canadian summer. Side by side in a town, in my rusty truck driving sundowns, picnics and making out, off-road in a downpour, handprints on a fog door. Girl, I never felt so alive, yeah. Canadian summer, making friends, crushing cans, holding hands, those Muskoka pines. You're blinking, it's over. Driftwood campfire nights in the land of the northern sky. And howl at the moon when I stumbled in love with you, babe. All the magic we made that Canadian summer, yeah. I hear a loon on the water, and I'm back there and I wonder when you fall asleep, babe, do you still wear my head?